In this video, we're going in depth with the new Eargo 8. It's the brand's new flagship, and it's actually the 5th generation of Eargo products that I've had a chance to wear. So over time, I've gotten to watch this brand incrementally improve one generation at a time while sticking with some of the core fundamentals that make them unique. That is the invisible style design that sits all the way inside of the ear, the tulip style ear tips that allow the product to sort of float in your ear, and their ever improving self-fitting system. In this video, we'll get into all of that along with my thoughts on where this product now sits in the overall hearing aid landscape. If we have not yet met, my name is Blake Cadwell. I'm the co-founder at Soundly.com. We're one of the leading destinations for hearing health shopping and research in the United States. You can head over to Soundly at any time to take our free hearing test or to actually shop products like Eargo 8 or other market leaders. Every purchase through Soundly comes with our complimentary care, including an audiologist setup call. If you like what you see in this video, feel free to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Helps this video reach more people. With that, let's dig in. If you've been researching hearing aids for long, there's a very good chance that you've seen a brand by the name of Eargo. They're famous for their invisible style designs. They were the first product that came onto the market that was both rechargeable and tiny, sat all the way inside the ear. Now they've been joined by other products like Sony CREC20, but Eargo has maintained this really strong positioning as an invisible style hearing aid that really disappears in most ear canals and is self-fit using a smartphone. Over the brand's history, they've had a few different owners and gone through a few different strategies, but one thing has been true as I've tried each of the different families of products over the last several years, and that is this brand is laser focused on rechargeable devices that fit deep inside the ear and have good, solid sound quality. Importantly, they've always also been delivered over the counter. So Eargo 8, just like previous generations, comes in a box that looks something like this. Once you receive that box, you'll set the hearing aids up using a smartphone. Now, if you purchase through Soundly, we'll actually walk you through that process if you'd like. We're there to support you every step of the way, but you can go through that process at home. No need to go to a local doctor's office. Okay, let's talk about some of the basics with Eargo 8. As I mentioned, the product sits deep inside the ear canal. It has this little ear tab that allows you to pull the product out easily. And in most ear canals, it's going to completely disappear. When I turn to the side, if I put the product back in, you're probably going to see the shadow inside my ear canal, but not much else. I would say 90% of people would never know that I'm wearing anything, maybe if they look directly down my ear canal. Eargo 8 devices have a 16-hour daily battery charge, and they come with a recharge case that carries, amazingly, 14 additional charges. So really, you can drop this charge case into your bag for 2 weeks before replugging it into the wall and charging back up the power bank. Of course, you'll need to drop the devices into the charge case each night in order to get that next 16 hours. Interestingly, Eargo 8 is actually a little bit larger than its predecessor, Eargo 7, which has now been discontinued. Now, if you own Eargo 7, don't worry. Eargo is still honoring warranties and care. And if you purchased Eargo 7 through us, we are also still honoring care for Eargo 7. But Eargo 8 is the new flagship on the market, and it is just a little bit larger. When we asked the team about this, they shared that this really comes down to the manufacturing approach and packing even more components and compute inside of these hearing aids, essentially making them smarter. We'll get into the sound processing itself more in just a minute. It's also worth noting that the charge case now has port-based charging instead of induction charging, which previously meant that you could just drop the hearing aids in and they could sit anywhere and recharge. Now you'll drop the hearing aids in and they'll be connected to a charge port. Often that means faster charging and more battery stability, but it also means you'll have to take a little bit more time to make sure you get them in the case correctly. A couple other basics to know. Eargo 8 is IP68 rated, which means it could be about a meter underwater for up to 30 minutes before it starts to break down. Now, we don't really recommend that you swim in these devices, but technically, if you get them wet, splash, even get into the pool with them, they should be just fine. This is an increase in the IP rating from previous generations, and it puts Eargo 8 on par with the leading premium hearing aids on the market. Now, just like most invisible style hearing aids on the market and all previous Eargo hearing aids, these devices do not stream Bluetooth. In fact, they don't even have a Bluetooth connection. So when you program the devices using your smartphone, it's actually happening through a little radio frequency that's being sent back and forth between your phone and the hearing aids themselves. You can't stream music or phone calls through these devices. That's really a trade-off that they're making by making the devices so small, having them sit so deeply in your ear canal. They simply can't do that and also get the Bluetooth signal to work. So if Bluetooth streaming is really important to you, you'll either need to shift into a behind the ear style hearing aid. You could look at something like Sennheiser All Day Clear or some of the prescription leaders, or you'll need to take these devices out and wear a pair of headphones when you want to do music streaming and phone calls and things like that. All right, so as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Eargo 8 does not require you to go to a doctor in order to prescribe and fit your hearing aids. Now, if you've purchased hearing aids the traditional in-clinic way before, you might wonder, well, how does the programming actually happen? The simple answer is that Eargo 8 is an over-the-counter hearing aid. That means it's appropriate for mild to moderate hearing loss. If you have more than moderate hearing loss, you'll need to go with a prescription option, which gives more volume output. But for those folks who have mild to moderate hearing loss, the Eargo app is essentially doing the programming for you in the same way that you might get at a local clinic. One of the first things that'll happen after you pair your hearing aids to the Eargo app is that you'll be prompted to go through a tone test. It will play beeps into each ear, registering the softest sound that you can hear. This is very similar to what would happen inside of a test booth at a local audiologist. The algorithm onboard these devices will then customize them to match your particular hearing loss. So if you need more boost in the highs or more boost in the mids, it's going to adjust the frequency distribution to match your particular loss. So after you go through your initial testing, you'll land on a screen where you can choose from basic programs like restaurant, meeting, in noise, a music program, which is brand new and rebuilt. And you can also swap out these programs for other options that they have available. Of course, you can use the app to adjust the volume in your hearing aids and the noise settings. So you can determine if you want low noise management, high noise management, or if you want noise management off. So high noise management is essentially going to shut down all that ambient and extra sound. If you turn that off, you'll hear a lot more of the ambient sound coming through. I've been playing with this and I really like it in the high noise management setting in a lot of cases. I also like it in that mid setting where it is managing some noise, but allowing some things to come through as well. Now, one thing that I really appreciate about the current version of the Eargo app is that within the programs, you can actually adjust each program quite a bit to match your particular taste. So you simply tap the settings icon under the program you want to adjust, and you can either tune it, which allows you to manually change the bass and the treble, see what you like the sound of, or you can go with Smart Adjust, and that simply allows you to turn on more focus on voices or more focus on comfort. What we see here is that Eargo is slowly moving towards a more robust app system that is more like what you find with prescription leaders. You really are becoming your own DJ. You can set up these programs exactly how you like them. You have a lot more control than past generations of the product. To me, that's a really great thing. And somehow they've managed to do this without making the app too clunky or difficult to manage. One final new innovation within the app is called Device Scan, and this is something I really like. Essentially what it does is it runs a scan of your devices to make sure that they're performing properly. Specifically what they're doing is they're trying to make sure there's no buildup of earwax or debris in the microphone ports and the speaker ports. And this just gives you a way to assess your devices without having to physically send them back in or troubleshoot with someone over the phone. If you do find that you have buildup in either the speakers or the microphones, you can simply change out the wax guards, use your brush to clean up your devices, or get in touch with either Soundly's team or Eargo's team to talk through ways to troubleshoot. But essentially, it gives you a way to understand better how well your devices are doing. This is a concept that a few hearing aid manufacturers have started to play with, and it's something I really hope we see more of in devices in the future. All right, we've talked about the basics, the battery, the setup process through the app, but if you're like me, you're likely most curious about sound quality, probably wondering how do these actually sound in background noise, in quiet environments. I've had a chance to take Eargo 8 into a bunch of complex settings, including some really loud background noise scenarios. And here's what I noticed. Eargo 8 is really good at managing the overwhelming sense of background noise in a really loud environment. It's also pretty good at grabbing the sound that's kind of far away from you and pulling it into your ears. What's interesting about Eargo is that you can hear the fact that they've rebuilt their sound mechanisms from scratch. It really doesn't sound like any other hearing aid on the market. It sounds a little smoother, a little bit rounder, and it's generally more aggressive in managing background noise scenarios. One quirk that I've found as I've transitioned environments is that I can hear the sound adjust actually kicking in. With some other market leaders, I don't often hear that transition moment. So for example, if I walk out of a quiet room into a noisier room, I hear for a moment the sound of a change happening inside of my hearing aids. After maybe a second or two, the devices settle into their new homeostasis. This transition experience isn't something I really find with other products on the market like Sony C20 or Sennheiser All Day Clear or prescription leaders. But in some ways, it helps me appreciate the hard work that my hearing aids are doing to actually make changes based on the environments that I'm in. In general, Eargo 8's sound quality is among the top tier hearing aids for in-ear styles across the price spectrum. Now, speaking of price, Eargo 8 is more expensive than most over-the-counter hearing aids on the market. Their main competitor would probably be Sony C20, which is at $999, less than half of the $2,600 price tag for Eargo 8. On the other hand, Eargo 8 is less expensive than what you would find in a clinic. In general, with the tasting notes aside, these slight differences in the way that Eargo handles sound versus the next manufacturer, I would say that this device is at the top of its class. It is equal to or better than most of the other premium in-ear products that you're going to find on the market. Okay, if you've made it to this point in the video and you're interested in purchasing Eargo 8, you can head over to soundly.com and do that directly on our website. You can also use code Eargo10 to save 10% off of your purchase. And as always, our customers get an audiology setup call with any purchase, regardless of brand. You also get all the other perks that we offer, like price protection, of course, hassle-free returns, and ongoing customer service. I hope this video has been helpful in understanding this brand new product. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. We'll see you over at soundly.com.